Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the MLG studios here in New York City. You're watching WCS America, the live round of 16 to find out who's going to advance to the round of 8. About to get started with our losers match, who's between Nestea and Sen. And I know a lot of people looking at this group might not necessarily have predicted this as our losers match.
This is absolutely insane. I mean, think about it for a second. One of these players is going to be eliminated from the group after the series.
Yes.
So, okay. Sen, who pretty much always makes top 4, being eliminated in round of 16 would be a huge upset. This is crazy that he's on the edge of being knocked out. But like, wait a minute, Nestea, who pretty much always wins.
Yeah.
He might be like, one of these two guys is almost unfathomable to imagine these guys not in the upper ranks of any tournament in the world. And the fact that they're here in the round of 16, one of them is going to be eliminated is just mind-blowing.
All right, guys, the game 1 is about to start. We got Sen versus Nestea, and a very important match on our hands. Again, the loser will be out of the WCS America Premier League. Nestea versus Sen. I personally didn't think this was going to happen, but it is happening. Again, thanks for staying up late with us, guys. Awesome matches coming your way each and every day, 6 p.m. Eastern. Monday through Thursday. First map is going to be Whirlwind, ZVZ between Sen and Nestea. They introduce the players. The top right-hand location, we have the Blue Zerg players. The Blue Zerg player hailing from Taiwan, representing Team Gambit Bears. He is Sen. His opponent in the bottom right-hand location, the Red Zerg player who lost to Snoot 2-1 in his first match of the evening. Hailing from Korea, considered one of the best players to ever play STARCRAFT 2. Can he keep his tournament hopes alive here? He is Nestea.
Neither player opening for an early pull. Yeah, we'll see if these guys go for anything aggressive. Sen is a very unpredictable player in Zerg versus Zerg. This guy he'll do mass speeding attacks. I've seen him knock out so many players with surprise speeding attacks. And he'll also play insane macro games. The one thing about Sen is he tends to go one way or the other. He's not one of the guys to put on feint aggression too much. You know, there's some Zergs who try to fake their opponent out into over-defending. Sen is a man of extremes in Zerg versus Zerg. He's either going to make a billion speedlings to try to end the game fast, or of course, just play purely macro defensive.
Anything can happen here. Such an important matchup now. It's a little bit interesting because both of these players actually... Correction. Nestea has played a ZVZ today. Sen has not yet. Of course, he played the PVZ against Alicia a little bit earlier. So Sen might have the intel that Nestea doesn't necessarily have, as far as being able to see your opponent's style, being able to see how your opponent approaches ZVZ, and Nestea had a pretty stylistic method of that first best of 3 against Snoop. He was going fast mutas pretty much every single game, so we'll have to see how Sen adjusts, or how Sen plays, based on what he has seen from his opponent today.
Or even if Nestea says, okay, I know you saw that style. I'm going to throw something else out there. We actually kind of saw Alicia do that a bit against Snoot.
Yep.
Saying, you know what, I think Gateway expands every single game. Let's open up the series with a Forge expand. So Snoot comes into the series thinking, okay, is Gateway expand, Gateway expand. The first map he does Forge expand. The next 2 maps he goes back to Gateway expanded. It's probably the one he's more comfortable with. But us throwing in the other build once has to basically puts the question in your opponent's mind, like, do I really know his style? He kind of is willing to do everything, and so it's a little bit harder to get that metagame advantage if you know you can't really trust your reads because your opponent's being so unpredictable.
One thing is certain: you have to be prepared for anything here at WCS America. Similar builds thus far from both these two players. A little bit faster of a Baneling Nest here from Sen. We've seen Nestea skip that in his previous series in favor of accumulating all that gas to go for a very fast layer. We'll have to see what he does in this game. Of course, getting that early Baneling Nest is a nice safety measure in case your opponent decides to throw a lot of aggression your way. But of course, skipping it can mean, again, you can use those resources on something else and not Banelings.
Nestea still no lair, no Baneling Nest. Just okay, there goes the lair. And more gases. So he's again going for the very, very fast lair tech. One of the weaknesses of this, of course, if your opponent puts on a ton of speeding, baiting aggression, it can be difficult to defend without banings of your own. Of course, Sen has been droning up pretty aggressively. I mean, in ZVZ, some people would stop at like 17, 18 drones to do crazy attacks. So Sen's not doing that. The question is he going to identify what Nestea's doing? Is he going to try to punish it? Either by maybe taking a fast third and just saying, okay, without banings you can't deny that, or by trying to kill Nestea because he doesn't have defensive banings.
Of course, we saw Snoot go for a very interesting style in his match against Nestea, going for double evolution chamber and nicely upgraded Zerglings into a fast third, a very, very delayed layer, relying on static defense to fend off the mutas while approaching his opponent's bases and consistently denying that third from Nestea. Now we'll have to see if Sen goes for a similar playstyle. However, just getting a little bit of a faster layer, which is a little bit troubling. He's adding on 3 gases, which obviously tells us he wants to tech up quite a bit, perhaps to Spire. But with Nestea's Spire already started, this might get a little bit dangerous. I mean, we could have a situation where Sen has massively delayed Spire versus his opponent.
Yeah, Nestea's just strictly ahead right now. Basically, the money Sen put into Bane Nest, Nestea put into Lair, and everything else has been exactly even.
Yep.
And that's not a situation you want to do, where you want to invest in the Bane Nest, but get nothing out of it. Whereas Nestea's investment into the Lair, it's paying dividends in the fact that he's going to have mutas so much faster than his opponent. Of course, I mean, when Sen realizes that time when he can put up spores and he'll be alive, but you're talking about trying to take a third base, talking about the money you have to put into spores, the map control you lose for that amount of time, it's all looking bad for Sen right now.
There's the Spire just now placed down here from Sen. And Nestea is moments away from popping out 6 or 7 mutas as soon as that Spire completes, also putting down that third base. And it looks like he's sending some lings across to his opponent's third base. However, there are some banelings there. Nestea has to be careful.
There's nothing escorting the banelings, so he can just send one speedling at a time to take them out. Where's the defensive speedlings?
There they are.
Okay.
They're returning back, trying to save their brethren. The banelings coming forward, trying to get a good detonation onto the lings, but the lings able to sneak out of there in time. The lings coming from the other direction as well. Nestea has to be careful. And there we see 9 mutas in production from Nestea. And again, his opponent isn't crazily far away from him. Also, I see no static D, I see no spores, nothing in the form of defense here as far as anti-air is concerned against the possible mutas. I think Sen has no idea this is happening. He might find out soon, though, as the first mutas are popping out.
Oh, he sees him now with the speedings, of course. I don't feel he can afford to build spore cores. In a matchup like this, his third's already a little bit later. I think he has to just say, okay, by the time your mutas can cross the map because you sent them to your third first, that means
Yes.
I'll have mutas out to defend. It still means Nestea's ahead in the Overlord killing war. And that's, mildly significant. But as long as Sen can match numbers, he should be okay to continue the game, especially if he can get a lot of damage done with his speedies.
Yeah, he's going to definitely try to cancel that third base. I feel like Nestea should
no
have a
banelings.
baneling or 2 to try to deal with this. And Sen definitely has more lings than his opponent. Nestea going to have to return some meters across the field. Some drones getting exposed here from Nestea. The Ling trying to track those lings down behind the mineral line. But Nestea, again, having to keep his mutas back home to defend the third base, which means he's not able to take advantage of how much faster he got his mutas by potentially attacking his opponent's side of the map, potentially denying his opponent's third base, and again, getting ahead on that Overlord hunting.
This is exactly one of the weaknesses of not having the Bane Nest. Yes, you can have a little bit of a muter lead, more gas. And we can see Nestea's actually up by a couple mutas because of the extra gas. He never got Banelings or the Bane Nest. But it also means that dealing with speeding run-bys is much more difficult.
Oh no, Sen now going to be attacking 2 locations at once, which means Nestea is going to have to make a decision. Where do I send my mutas? Ling's going to the third base. We have some mutas advancing into the main base. Nestea a little bit unprepared for the Spore Crawler just now being made in the main, and Sen is going to back up with his mutas, of course. Does not want to get caught off guard by Nestea's mutas. He realizes that his opponent might have a scarier number at this point.
And Nestea indeed does have the scary number, a few more mutas, but Sen is able to have the map control because of the threat of the speeding counterattack, whereas he's not afraid at all of Nestea's speedings, knowing he has a superior ground forces.
Sen actually has more drones as well. It's 54 to 43.
Oh, that's significant.
What a very interesting game.
I think a lot of that's because that speeding attack on the third base of Nestea.
They killed a lot of drones for sure.
12 drones killed so far by Sen, and that's a lot of. I mean, that's the difference right there in the drone count.
Have these mutas go to battle fairly soon. No Spore Crawlers at this third base. Looks like they're deciding to engage each other. Who has the bigger muta count? I'm not so sure. Unit Staff says 22 to 17 in favor of Nestea, but Sen does have that defender's advantage. He can rally in from the front. A big baneling hit onto the lings there from Nestea, but Nestea is going to win that muta war, so he's going to have that air control for now.
He won the muta war, but did he win it enough to go ahead and take out the queens? It looks like he might have. The queen by the third goes down. Nestea, more and more mutas coming in. Sen cannot afford to lose this third base, but he has less mutas. He's just dead.
He has to engage with I mean, he can't lose his third. He absolutely can't. He realizes his opponent has the third of his own, so he's just going to... He might send his Lings across the map to try to deny that, but at this point, I feel like Nestea should have sufficient ground forces to deal with that. Instead, it's just going to GG again. Once you lose that Muta, or once you lose that third base, those 5th and 6th gases, Muta versus Muta is going to be so difficult for you.
Absolutely is. You can see there, Sen able to mitigate the slower lair attack by using the speeding counterattacks. Unfortunately, though, he also had less mutas. Nestea realized he had a mutas advantage, and that's so important. It's very difficult to get an eyeball on the muta count. Nestea, a veteran of Brood War as well as StarCraft 2, very good at judging the odds, and knew he had that timing.
Nestea looking very calm, very serene, very serious, taking game number 1 over Sen, but this is a best of 3, so Sen still has a chance to come back. He must win 2 in a row. It's been done against Nestea today. Can it happen again? Guys, you're watching the losers match between Nestea and Sen. This is the round of 16 of WCS America. We'll be back after a quick break with more StarCraft 2.